Yo, E-Dirt, Hollywood Hills bringing you all the racing action report back from the latest round of the National Championship SACCS Motos down in Dundee. For a start, sorry if we are running a little bit late on the report back for this one. It literally has taken me this long to thaw out. It was fresh out there. I knew there was a cold front coming, but man, oh man, I just did not pack enough layers. That's my problem anyway. I had enough coffees and thankfully my beautiful wife had the fire and the red wine waiting for me when I got home, and it's taken me a little while to get back on point. That said, Dundee did deliver a banger once again. Out of the qualifying, firstthinginthemorning.com, Jared Coetzee threw down an absolute stonker. He was the fastest man coming out of the 20K time trial, and he is in some great form in 2017. We'll go through the breakdown of the categories. Not a great lineup from the quads, and unfortunately a track that just did not suit the quads. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. In the breakdown of the categories when it came to racing, remember the bikes go racing all in one day. It's all in one mom. So they don't get much time to recover after their time trial. They go straight out onto the run. Not a top qualifier for championship points leader and reigning champion Ross Branch, but that doesn't seem to matter. He didn't need clear air. I think he qualified something like 7th or 8th place in the time trial. And of course, in the OR1 category, that's what he's looking for. He wants points on the plate. He actually said to me, it doesn't matter if he gets a top 5, that's cool by him. He'll just put points on the plate and he'll try to go for the big win in Botswana. He did manage to plough the field though come the end of the day, and he made mincemeat of the rest of the field. He was absolutely flying. He eventually got clear air on the final lap and started to stretch his legs. The only man that could actually run with him was the OR2 pinner on the Pepson Plastics factory Husqvarna, and that's Brett Swanepoel. So remember, Bretty's on the 350, Ross on the 450, and they were very comparable come their lap times and their top speed, top ends. So that's an interesting story to talk about, and probably the first time we've seen a 350 run almost the same numbers as a 450, so that's absolutely huge. Kenny was out there again. He managed to finish third wheel and second in the OR1 category, with obviously Swanee up the road from him, splitting the two OR1s, with the OR2 champion taking second place overall. Kenny decided to not go for the big operation. He had a similar injury to myself, in fact, where he landed hard on his shoulder. Didn't break his shoulder, didn't break the collarbone, but broke the cartilage and the ligaments. And it's a bit of a long job operation. You can kind of power through it. And he's one of the riders that's choosing to do that. He's got the thing strapped up to the max, and he proved this weekend that it's good enough to hold together. I don't know how it's going to be on Enduros. We'll see this weekend when we get down to Robertson for the next round of the Liquorland National Enduro Championship down there. I'll be down there. The rest of the categories, nice ride coming out of Lawrence Mahoney. He's been on the comeback trail for a little while now, trying to figure things out. He did stick with his plan and said he was going to go on the 252 stroker the whole way through the year. This may have thrown a bit of a question mark under his choice. He couldn't get the same top end out of the bike as Brett Swanepoel on the much more powerful 350 Husqvarna. So Lawrence is going to maybe have to have a word with Francisca, see if there's some more budget in the box, and go shopping for a 350. That said though, I think Dundee was a bit of a freak one. I think Lawrence is going to run very, very good pace on the smoker in the desert. He'll remember that old riding style of just keeping that wheel spinning and floating above the sand. But I think we've started to really develop a really strong OR2 championship. JC Nienaber was up there as well. He got the Roost KTM and running in the Super Moose colors. Got himself up there into a third place. That's good for him because it backs up the form that he showed just a couple of weeks back at the GXCCs, where he took his first overall of the season. The rest of the key players to watch out for, of course, in the OR3 category, it's always going to be an absolutely huge situation to look for. Willem Skonfeld was up there. Jared Coetzee was probably going to be able to get the win on this one. But on the last lap, he put his leg down, tweaked his knee, and he's got a bit of a knee problem, old Jazz, anyway, and he had to fade off the pace. That allowed an advantage for Flanny, and Flanny, old Carl Flanagan, on the proudly Bidvest Yamaha, has now gone 2 for 2, and he's got a commanding points lead. That's all good news for Flanny, and unfortunately, it's all bad news for Jared Coetzee, because this is his year to try and nail down that championship. I think it's like his third crack at it, and obviously that's the reason he's been keeping his factory ride on the Brother Liederstred KTM. They want him to nail down that 250 championship. On the senior side of things, Bolly Van Rooyen, untroubled once again. It's very, very hard to beat that guy. He's just absolutely dialed in. A good pal of mine, old Bruce Phil Yoon got himself up into third place once again, so it's tons and tons of points on the plate. Unfortunately, Heinke Hennekom, new name to the championship, and possibly a spoiler in the championship. I don't know if he's going to make all the rounds, but he definitely ran incredible pace here at the second round at Dundee. In the Masters category, the smoking weasel, old insane Wayne Farmer, couldn't get the job done, unfortunately, and that meant that he got a third place finish. Justin Broughton out horsepowered him on the 450 Sherco, and Peter Hull also ran the big numbers. It's a very much a Peter Hull track when you can get on the pipe and hold it wide open. Wayne Farmer did say that he had a bit of a carb problem on his normally very, very perfectly running 300 Husqvarna Smoker. I've got to say, it didn't look like it was a two-stroke track, and with long straights where the guys were able to run the whole way through the box, it was always going to be a big ask. In the high school category, the proudly Bidvest Yamaha rising star Stefan van Deventer, still unbeaten, and I need to underline this, the only rider on the season to go unbeaten, unchallenged at any of the events that he's entered, not just national off-roads, but any event thus far. We'll keep an eye on that and see if he's the one rider on the season that can keep a clean score sheet. Martin van Jaarsveld, he did a great job. He got himself factoried up and got a new bike underneath him. I think it's the FE 250 out of Husqvarna, riding out of the Biker Warehouse, Simply Cloud and Door Zone squad on the Husky. So he's chuffed to bits, because I think for me that's his highest finished on the National Championship Tour. So he's going to be super happy with that one to get himself up there. He beat out a strong field of racers. JP de Villiers, also another rider riding out of the Basefit QCon squad. He got himself up into a third place position. So he's going to be pretty happy with that one. Now the quads was a little bit of a strange situation. They were the first riders out, and this unfortunately was definitely not a good track for the quads. I'll run through the list. Kenan Hammond just about ended himself on the time trial. Had a big up and over. He's got a huge shiner, and unfortunately no points on the plate, and that's just very disappointing. The quad was a complete write-off after he hit a divot and just went up and over out the front door. He's cool. We don't have to wish him a fast recovery. He's just a little bit bruised and beaten up. The man we do have to wish a big recovery to is the big guy, Johan Oosthuizen. On the opening lap of the racing stage, he hit a bridge that wasn't marked, and there was a lip at the front of it. He went up and over, but super hard. Smashed his shoulder, smashed his collarbone. I don't know if we're going to be seeing him coming back for the rest of the season, but all the best for a fast recovery from the big man out of Vans Racing on the big Yamaha. Russell Ferreira also, he had a bad time in time trial. Also couldn't find the marking, said it wasn't marked clearly. Got lost on time trial. That put him pretty much at the back of the pack. Tried to push on in the opening lap. Was pretty much right there when Johan had his big crash as well, and decided to pack it up. And Russ is not a guy to do this lightly. Yeah, but I have been talking to him since the race, and he says it was simply too dangerous. And unfortunately, that's been the story of the year on the SACCs for the quads. And the reason is the bikes are obviously able to get around more of the rocks and the lurkers and handle their bikes a little bit easier than the quads are. So a little bit of a dark cloud shone over the quad side of things. Let's put a positive on it though. Hannes Simon didn't have a good qualifier as well. He had some gremlins, electrical gremlins on the quad, but managed to power through, and he took an emphatic victory as well. So he's probably got one hand on a championship points lead at the moment. No show from Gideon Jacobs or Captain Crosspit. He didn't turn up, but poor numbers from the quads as well. And I think that's to do with how they saw the track at Lichtenberg, and they're not going to be looking at the national championship through rose-tinted goggles, believe me, after 2 rounds of racing on rough tracks. Let's end on a positive though. There was a really good layout of a track there. It's just the marking, once again, needed a good high five. What's happening a little bit further down the road? Rest of this month, next week, I'm going to be going down to Cape Town, and that's the next round of the Liquorland National Enduro Championship Series in Robertson. Actually, pretty much the same area as I was down a couple of weeks back for the T-Bone National Enduro Junior Championship Series. After that, change of dates. Just found out this morning FJX have moved their date. It was supposed to be the last racing weekend of this month. They've now moved it to the first racing weekend of June, and that's going to be their first full enduro event of the season. So watch out for that. Also keep an eye on all of the specials coming in from RAD, from BaseFit, from EMD, and from Vans Racing, from all of our sponsors. I think I pretty much picked up on everything that was going on there, and I'll tell you what, it was just a tough weekend. If I left anyone out, it's not on purpose, believe me, it's just my mind is still frozen. From Hollywood Hills here, I'll be reporting back next week and giving you all the information of what happened down at Robertson, and hopefully a slightly warmer weekend for us here at Hollywood Hills. For now, we're signing off. We'll see you guys a little bit later.